Recording in progress.
Good evening. I'd like to call the June 9th meeting of the governing body to order. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll, please?
Mayor Collins.
I'm here.
Dr. Emmons.
Here.
Mr. Escabel.
He's here. He's online.
Here.
Mr. Laybourne.
Here.
Mr. Moody.
Present.
Dr. Rennie.
Present.
Mr. Roybal.
Present.
Mr. Seagrave.
Present.
Mr. White.
Present.
Dr. Aldrich.
Present.
All members are present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Consent agenda. All agenda items listed with the designation of CA are considered to be routine items by the governing body and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a member of the governing body so requests and support by two other members is received. Any item removed from the consent agenda will be considered in its normal sequence on the agenda.
All right. Are there any items on this consent agenda a member of the governing body would like to remove?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Laybourne.
number 24A.
All right. 24A, Urban SDK.
Concur.
Concur.
All right. 24A. Anyone else? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion. Moved by Mr. Seagrave, seconded by Mr. Roybal. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
The consent agenda is approved with item 24A removed and will be considered in its normal sequence.
6A, public hearing to determine whether compliance of annexation conditions required by Wyoming Statute 15-1-402 exists for about 199.67 acres of land generally located east of South Greeley Highway and north of Chalk Bluff Road.
All right, we will open it up to a public hearing, but first thing we'll do is have a short staff report. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This annexation covers...
Brandon, could you identify yourself for the record,
yes.
please?
Brandon Gilchrist, Planning and Development Department.
Thank you, sir.
This annexation covers roughly 199.67 acres of land generally located east of South Greeley Highway and north of Chalk Bluff Road. The city received a petition to annex this land from the owners, which was fulfilled with the city clerk on April 15, 2025. On April 17, 2025, the city clerk certified the petition contained the necessary signatures according to state statute. This public hearing is being held to... This public hearing is being held with Wyoming State Statute 15-1-402A. Staff asked the governing body to consider the following. The land proposed to be annexed is contiguous with current city limits. Specifically, the property is 22% contiguous to the west. All city services and utilities currently available to residents of the city will be provided to the residents of the annexed land. Extending sewer will increase the health and safety of the occupants utilizing the area of the community. A mailing was sent to all landowners and utilities within the annexed area and all neighbors within 300 feet, not less than 20 business days before the public hearing, according to the city calendar. 20 business days before today's hearing was May 9th, 2025. The mailing was sent out May 8th, 2025. The earliest confirmation of receipt was dated May 15th, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for staff?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Roybal?
through you, who's the property owner, and do we know what the property is going to be utilized for?
Brandon, do you know that answer?
I do.
Okay.
Mayor, through you, the property, we just got in a application to extend the business park there. So we anticipate that it will be an extension of the current business park at that location.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Brandon, thank you. Appreciate you. Anybody in the audience here today to speak to this public hearing? Mr. Christensen, welcome.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. My name is Mark Christensen. I am with AVI PC, and we are the agent for the applicant. I would just like it to be known that I'm available for any questions.
All right. Does anybody have any questions of the developers agent? Thanks for being here tonight. Nice to be early in the agenda, huh? Yep. How about anybody else in the audience?
Raised hand.
Mr. Mayor, I just have Councilwoman Aldridge with her hand raised when you're ready.
Dr. Aldridge.
Good evening, Mayor Collins. Actually, I had a question for our staff report. I'm wondering if we have heard from any of the individuals who received letters or had any comments that have been made or directed to the planning office based on this proposal of annexation.
Somebody from the planning office, let us know if we've had any, they're shaking their heads no? Okay. Dr. Aldridge, they're shaking their heads no comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the governing body? All right, hearing none, the purpose of the public hearing has been met. Next item, please.
6B, public hearing for proposed budgets for the City of Cheyenne and Board of Public Utilities for fiscal year 2026.
All right, we've been working on this for about the last 6 months, and hopefully today will be the last step in that process. And that step is a public hearing and then the finishing of the ordinance. By state law, once we hold this public hearing, we have to pass our budgets within 24 hours. So I'll open it up now to the public. Does anybody in the public want to speak to our budget, both for the City of Cheyenne, or the Board of Public Utilities? Anybody in the audience? All right, how about from the governing body? All right, hearing none, the purpose of the public hearing has been met. Our next step will be the ordinance.
Number 7 on page 2, ordinance third reading, appropriating monies for the City of Cheyenne, Wyoming for the various purposes in conducting the municipal government of said city and fixing the amount of general and special taxes as part of the revenue required to meet the said appropriation, all for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026.
Well, this is that ordinance I just spoke about. It is on third reading. It's a $74,517,876 general fund budget for the City of Cheyenne. And we'll go out to the audience and see if there's anybody who want to comment on the city's budget. Welcome.
Erin LeBlanc, Director for the Laramie County Senior Center. Last week at the Committee of a Whole meeting, you heard from an organization with whom you had concerns at their retention of staff. I would like to give you confidence with regards to the Senior Activity Center and the budget assistance that you provide to us. All departments were asked by our executive director at an annual holiday party to highlight our accomplishments. It did not take me long to immediately respond, and these were some of ours about the senior center. Like many not-for-profit entities, Laramie County Senior Services has worked with a very small budget and very limited staff. Out of our small staff, we have one staff person who will be hitting her 12th-year mark, another at their 11, and several more who have been employed for 5+ years, including myself. We had one employee who left after 16 years, only to return 9 months later. The sustainability of our staff is a great achievement to us and for us. They believe in our mission statement and truly enjoy the work that they do. The other, and I think it's really important detail to mention, is that we really like each other at the Senior Center. We work well together, and that makes a difference. And for those that come in and see how we interact and portray a positive environment. Growing our congregate meal program has been challenging coming out of COVID. Many turned to home delivery services. That has been challenging to get some to re-engage in to the congregate. In the past federal fiscal year, though, we have increased our nutrition program by 10%. And in September 2024, we saw a 26% increase from last September, the previous year. Our breakfast has also increased 30% from February to April in this year alone. Increasing our visibility for the Laramie County Senior Activity Center has been part of our 5-year plan for many years, and with that, we have looked for ways to add to our budget in creative ways towards our fundraising efforts. We participated in Cheyenne Cruise Nights, the Christmas Parade. We started a monthly business lunch. We've participated on Fridays on the Plaza, and we created in growing our annual Age Well Conference, which will be celebrating its 5th year. This past December, we also hosted our first annual cookie jar event. Whenever I come up with a different idea, my team's first words are, how can we make this happen? What can we do to make it a success? And then they say, what do you need me to do? 2 weeks ago, I left some newsletters up here for you all to see how active the Senior Activity Center really and truly is, and the things that we offer to our older adults. And we're excited to add even more activities to our calendar. We truly thank the council and the city of Cheyenne for believing us in what we do. On Friday, May 30th, we posted our 30-day notice of closure for the Thomes Avenue building right behind us. And with your permission from the council, I'll now refer to Katie Brady, who will update you on our current situation.
Thanks, Aaron. Welcome back, Katie.
Hi. Hello. My name's Katie Brady. I'm the Interim Executive Director for the Laramie County Senior Services. On July 1st, Laramie County Senior Services Board will officially take over the care and operations of the Laramie County Senior Center. On July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, the center will be closed to move items and prepare the new senior center. On July 7th at 8 a.m., the new Laramie County Senior Center will open at our new location at 4100 East Pershing Boulevard. The center will be open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. We are so grateful to the Laramie County taxpayers for passing the 6-penny funding that built the new senior center. We would also like to thank our Laramie County commissioners for their support and commitment to helping the senior center navigate the future. We thank the Cheyenne Housing Authority and their board for their stewardship of the senior center for the past 50 years. And to our mayor and our city council members who have also supported the mission of the senior center both financially and professionally. The future of the Laramie County Senior Center is bright and hopeful. We hope you all come and visit us and see all that we have going on. Thank you.
Ma'am, I would just want to give you a heads up. Have you guys looked at the requirements of the CDBG money that you have in the building behind us and what the exit strategy to make sure that you don't get in trouble with the feds on that?
I've spoken with Mr. Hancock, and he says that he is meeting with you, and we are aware of that situation.
Okay.
So,
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about anybody else in the audience? Anybody else? All right, if not, Dr. Rennie.
Pardon me. Mr. Mayor, the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole is to approve the budget on third and final reading, and I would so move.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. White. Dr. Rennie.
Mr. Mayor, I do want to move to amend by substitute. Substitute is dated June 5th. A brief explanation includes adding $10,000 to the City Council Department temporary part-time line item and $977 to the applicable benefit line items for a total of $10,977, and deducting $6,900 from miscellaneous department insurance line item and $4,077 from the miscellaneous department general discretionary line item for a total of $10,977.
I love that you made that balance. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Roybal. We'll go out to the audience on the substitute, and basically what's happening is the city council is going to hire an intern, a part-time intern for this next year, and that's what the $10,977 is. Anybody in the audience want to speak to that? How about from the governing body? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The substitute is adopted, and we're back on the main motion. Comments from members of the governing body?
Mr. Mayor, Dr. Aldridge, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mayor Collins, through you. First and foremost, I want to thank the city treasurer and all of the department heads who have worked really hard on this budget. Each year they bring to us a budget that has had a lot of work and sweat and tears put into it, I'm sure. But as a member of the Cheyenne City Council, I do have a duty to approve a budget that reflects fairness and equity and sound stewardship of taxpayer dollars. And after reviewing the proposed 2026 budget, I will be voting no this evening. While I support fair compensation and competitive wages for our city employees, I cannot support a budget that grants substantial pay raises to a few individuals while the majority of employees receive little or nothing. In one case, a single position held for less than 2 years has received an increase of over $30,000 per year. Meanwhile, most employees, many of whom have served the city far longer, are seeing minimal or no pay increases at all. And this kind of imbalance is not only unfair, it damages morale and undermines trust in our budgeting process. Every employee deserves to be valued and compensated fairly, not just a select few. And until this budget is, or we're able to present a budget that's revised to reflect a more equitable and responsible approach, I cannot in good conscience support it. So for that reason, I will be a no vote tonight.
Comments from anyone else on the governing body? Mr. Moody.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. My colleague from Ward 3 said it pretty well, but I'll just add to it. I'm also going to be a no vote for the reasons that were stated by my colleague from Ward 3, but also, too, I need to see that matrix for employees in terms of how raises are given for longevity in that. And I just think, again, it's unfair to those who are out there every day working hard. You know, I know everybody works hard, but people are on the front lines. So that's for the reasons I cannot support this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments? Mr. Laybourne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo the comments of the gentlelady from Ward 3. Very unfortunate that this has occurred, but it's a fundamental question of fairness. And I certainly join her in appreciating all the work that went into this budget. It is really balanced in the fundamentals. I know that all the department heads had their opportunity to contribute to it, but the question of the raises for the executive group really is the deciding factor for me. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you take the vote, please?
Dr. Aldrich,
No?
Mayor Collins,
Yes.
Dr. Emmons,
Yes.
Mr. Escabel,
Aye.
Mr. Laybourne,
No.
Mr. Moody,
No.
Dr. Rennie,
Yes.
Mr. Roybal,
Yes.
Mr. Seagrave,
Yes.
Mr. White.
Yes.
This budget is approved on third and final reading as amended, with Dr. Aldridge, Moody, and Mr. Laybourne all voting no.
Number 8, ordinance, third reading, approving and establishing revised water and sewer rates, tap and system development fees, administrative fees, service charges, and penalties, and septic and commercial waste dump rates as recommended by the Board of Public Utilities.
All right, this is our annual review of rates for our Board of Public Utilities. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this ordinance? All right, hearing none, Mr. Laybourne.
Mr. Mayor, the recommendation of the Finance Committee is to approve on third and final reading, and I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Roybal. Comments from members of the governing body.
Mr. Mayor,
Dr. Rennie.
I guess we really didn't need a staff report, but I have some questions for Mr. Brooks, if I could.
Welcome, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, through you to Director Brooks, we've had a series of increases, both to sewer and water, over the past few years. I guess I wanted the public and my colleagues on the council to understand that these increases were not put into place arbitrarily, and that there is in fact actually a lot of research behind them. I know you've hired a consultant a few years back, and in order for the system to keep up and maintain its current level of service, these increases are needed. And so I was just hoping you could address that for me.
Mr. Brooks, pull that microphone up so we can hear you good.
Sure. Brad Brooks, Director for Cheyenne Board of Public Utilities. Through you, Mayor, to President Rennie. Great question, and yes, Dr. Rennie is correct. We've hired about 4 years ago now a consultant to do all of our rate analysis. We used to only do it about every 10 years when we did our master plan, but we realized that in 10 years a lot can change, so we realized the importance of hiring somebody to look at that every year. So what we've done, they're on their 4th year now. They have 1 more year under their contract, and then we'll probably renegotiate their contract as well or go out for RFP. We haven't decided yet, but they've done a great job. But each year they do an alternate study. So 1 year it'll be they'll analyze the water, the other year they'll do the sewer. And then they also do what's called for us a cost of service analysis. And that cost of service analysis is a very in-depth analysis to determine exactly what the costs are for every one of our different users, whether industrial, commercial, residential. They look at every one of those, and so they're all analyzed. So Dr. Rennie is correct. What has been recommended the last few years, as you are fully aware because you voted that, we had an 8% on, 2 years ago we had a 10% on water, 8% on sewer, and I think last year was an 8% on water, 10% on sewer. I pretty much had made a commitment to you as a council because when we were questioned a year ago, I said we will do all we can to not have to come back to you with another rate that high. Unfortunately, our rate consultant came back and said what is actually needed is 9% probably for the next 5 years. But because we had kind of made it, I felt like I had made a commitment to council, we tried to look at it in a different way. And so this year, instead of doing an increase to the cost per thousand, we just did a flat fee increase on the water and a flat fee on the sewer. So we charge a service charge. And we actually had them look at what the service charges are in Wyoming for other municipalities our size, as well as down the Front Range. The thing to realize with that, and I know we've told you this before, but it's always good to reiterate, our system, as you know, is a very unique system. It's not like the city of Casper. It's not like the city of Gillette. It's not like the city of Rock Springs, any of them. We do not have a major river going through our town. And a lot of those, what they base their fees on is they have water available to them right there. Everybody's aware of the major infrastructure that we have, over 100 some miles away, how we bring water and all the infrastructure we have to bring that to the city. And so they look that when they base on their service fees and fees for service for water and sewer. And what we found when we did that is we were considerably low on our monthly service fee. And so we upped those by $3 for water, $2 for sewer. And that's what we decided to do this year instead of bringing to the city council the 9% that was recommended by our rate analysis consultants. So hopefully that gives an overview. I'd be glad I have Brad Bowen here with me as well. Brad's our admin manager, and Brad is actually in charge of that project with our rate consultant. So hopefully between the two of us, if you have specific questions, we can address and answer those.
Dr. Rennie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I do have Dr. Aldridge with her hand raised.
Dr. Aldridge.
Mayor Collins, through you. Well, I appreciate that our Board of Public Utilities has worked really hard to find water for us and to make sure that we have the infrastructure that we need in order to provide water, which I believe is one of our statutory requirements by state statute that we make sure that we are providing safe and potable water for our residents. I know that we also are concerned about water usage and conservation. I think that our system is very dichotomous when you think that we hear that every time we raise our rates that the usage goes down, and that we need to continue to raise our rates because we have not found a large water user that would help to provide the funding mechanism through that revenue in order to maintain our infrastructure that's required for our water system. I appreciate the education that the Board of Public Utilities has offered for us as city council members. And I've taken an opportunity to attend the work session and to try and stay on top of this information. But I still find it puzzling and troubling that while we continue to ask our residents to conserve water, we continue to raise the rates because we don't sell enough water in order to generate enough revenue to support the infrastructure. So until we can find a solution to that, I will be a no vote for this evening. Thank you.
Anyone else in the governing body?
Mr. Mayor,
Dr. Rennie.
I want the public to understand that when we are when the Board of Public Utilities works on their system, the current cost of weighing a water line is $350 a foot, and that they are planning on it lasting for the next 100 years, which to me is just kind of astounding. I can't imagine that something we're doing today is going to be here for that they're doing today is going to have to last for a century. So I mean, people need to understand that these increases are necessary. If we don't approve them, then it means that we have to make it up in the future. We're going to get behind the curve, and we're going to have to make it up with larger increases, or our current system, or our system's upgrades are going to have to last longer than that 100 years. Looking at that figure, we're really kicking the can down the road if we were to vote no on these. To me, voting no is just a vote for delayed maintenance, which could possibly be a vote for a disaster. So, thank you.
Mr. White, did you have a comment, sir?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, we're on third reading. Madam Clerk.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Dr. Aldrich?
No.
Mayor Collins?
Yes.
Dr. Emmons?
Yes.
Mr. Escabel?
Aye.
Mr. Laybourne?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
No.
Dr. Rennie?
Yes.
Mr. Roybal?
Yes.
Mr. Seagrave?
Yes.
All right, this ordinance is approved on third and final reading with Dr. Aldridge and Mr. Moody voting no.
Number 9, ordinance, second reading, amending portions of the Unified Development Code, modifying provisions related to park impact fees, including the timing of fee payment and permitted uses of such fees, and making conforming amendments thereto.
All right, this is a review of our Uniform Development Code to look at the timing and whether or not everybody should pay the same when it comes to our park impact fees. And we'll go out to the audience if anybody here tonight to speak to this. All right, hearing none, Mr. Seagrave.
Mr. Mayor, the recommendation of the Public Services Committee is to approve on second reading, and I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. White. Mr. Seagrave.
Mr. Mayor, there was a discussion about a amendment at the committee. Is
Yes,
that what you're referring to?
I was wondering if you wanted to bring that up or you want to handle it in committee next week.
I thought we would try to address it at committee unless someone else would
No,
like to discuss
I think that's a
it
great
tonight.
suggestion. Thank you. That way you can have a good conversation about it.
Okay.
Very good. All right, comments from members of the governing body on the ordinance for the UDC. All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And those opposed? The ordinance is approved on second reading, and we'll look at that sub next week on Monday.
Number 10, ordinance, second reading, amending portions of the Unified Development Code regarding signage to increase allowances for window signs and further clarifying prohibited signs.
I think that says it all. Anybody here to talk about that? Hearing none, Mr. Seagrave.
Mr. Mayor, the recommendation of the Public Services Committee is to approve on second reading, and I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. White. Comments from members of the governing body?
Mr. Mayor.
Microphone, Mr. Rennie, or Dr. Rennie?
Thank you. I have an amendment I'd like to make, and if you go to, I think, it would be the second page of the ordinance under pedestrian signs, and then the third bullet point, window signs. I would like to change the language for window signs to read, window signs shall be allowed in any window. Window signs will be counted toward the allowed wall sign area. If 100% of the window area is to be covered, it must utilize a material that allows light to penetrate into the building. If I can get a second, I'll explain.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Seagrave.
Thank you. Okay, I guess I want to, currently the way it is written in the change is that you can have 100% coverage of window signs in addition to your wall sign. That request came from only one landowner, so it's not like it's been something that's been really in demand. I want to take you back. I was part of a committee that was made up of local businessmen and sign company representatives that wrote our first sign ordinance in like 1990 or 1991. And that original ordinance was a result of several compromises. But the goal was to not have Cheyenne appear to be cluttered or tacky with signs that were allowed everywhere. This request for 100% window coverage, in addition to the other alloweds, as I said, came from only one property owner. We have worked under and carried out business under that original sign ordinance and its successors for 35 years now, and I think it's served us really well. So I really don't want to see significant changes going back to what we had before we had a sign ordinance. Actually, the second half of this landowner's request was not only did they want to have 100% coverage of their windows, but they wanted to be able to advertise for somebody else. So essentially, they wanted to make their building a billboard for another property owner. So to me, I think this is a step backwards. This was a difficult fight several years ago, and I think that I don't mind allowing them to have 100% coverage of their windows if they want it, but I think it ought to be just part of what is the percentage of the wall sign coverage that is allowed. So that's the rationale for my amendment, Mr. Mayor.
All right, let's go out to the audience and see if anybody wants to speak to Dr. Rennie's motion for amendment. I don't hear any. How about from the governing body? Mr. Seagrave?
No, sir.
Oh. Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Aldrich, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Mayor Collins, to you. I'm curious about the amount of wall coverage and the window being counted into that wall sign amount. What is the current wall sign amount of advertising allowed, and what that my colleague's proposing for Ward 2, and what would that how would that limit this if they have more window than they or have wall? I guess.
Mr. Lloyd, is that you? Did you hear the question well?
Mr. Chair, members of the City Council, Seth Lloyd with the Planning and Development Department. The current allowance for wall signs generally is 20% of the wall area up to 400 square feet. So if you have a really large building like a Sierra Trading Post or a Walmart, you would probably hit the 400 square feet before you hit the 20% of your wall area. There are a few zones that actually limit down to 10% of your wall area on street-facing facades. Those are MUB and NB. And MUR. These are the more neighborhood-focused zone districts with buildings up against the street. So by having window signs count toward that wall sign area, the window signs would be effectively limited to 20% of the wall area, or in conjunction with the wall sign, maybe the wall sign's 10% and the window sign's 10% of that wall area. On buildings with really large windows and only one story of wall, that could be a limiting factor, but if the building has multiple stories, then you would count the entire wall area, second floor, third floor, toward that wall signage allowance.
Mr. Lloyd, it seems to me I see a lot of these. You see a lot of bars with, or liquor stores where the windows are all have signs on them. I think our animal shelter has cute animals in their windows. So I think a lot of people are 100% using their signs. So what I'm hearing you say is that that would be a limiting factor in that.
Mr. Mayor, it could be, depending on the specific layout of the windows and the size of the building.
Very good. Do you have questions for staff, Dr. Rainey?
No.
Staff? Thank you, Mr. Lloyd. We have an amendment before us. Any other comments from the governing body? All right, hearing none, we'll vote on Dr. Rainey's amendment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Aye.
No.
The amendment is approved, and we're back on the main motion. Comments from members of the governing body? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And those opposed?
Aye.
The ordinance is approved on second reading as amended.
Number 11, ordinance, second reading, annexing to the city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, various tracts of land completely surrounded by current city limits situate in northeast Cheyenne, generally located north of Delrange Boulevard, east and west of Ridge Road, and south of Story Boulevard.
All right, this is a city council goal to bring county pockets into the city limits. The last couple of meetings, there's been some questions as to why. And so with your indulgence, maybe I could maybe speak to a recent incident that happened that might articulate why the city council made this a city council goal. A couple of weeks ago, we had a fire at 5908 Ridge Road. The 911 call on that fire came from a home on Holland Court, and that home is inside a county pocket. Laramie County Communications Center saw that that call came from a county pocket and realized that it was a county call. They dispatched the Laramie County Fire Authority, a county fire agency, who, when they got there, realized the fire was actually inside the city limits. And so I think what was one of the things that inspired this originally was another similar situation that's about 4 or 5 years ago. And so it's the jurisdictional challenges of knowing what's going on and where that caused the governing body to make this a goal 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago now, to move forward. So if that would be maybe to answer some of the questions that have come up, that is part of the reasons of the why. State law says that if a parcel is 100% surrounded by the city limits, they kind of figure it's already in the city limits and give us the ability to bring those parcels into the city. So with that, I'll go out to the audience and see if anybody has any comments or questions on item number 11, the annexation of city pockets. Mr. Singh, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I would like to start my comments today.
Identify yourself for the record, if you would, please.
Yes, thank you. My name is Daniel Singh. I represent House District 61, which is made up of both city and county pockets. And I want to start my comments today by apologizing to the city council at the last Public Services Committee meeting. I started coming unraveled with an issue that is deeply personal to me. This does involve my parents' property. There is no other parents' property. This is it. And so in that, I was making my comments and I ventured into the realm of the distasteful. And I wanted to acknowledge that before you and tell you that I'm sorry and that I want to be a means of communication between the city and the legislature, and I can't do that if I'm blinded by my own passions, even if it is an issue that is very important to me. The purpose of the forum is to have constructive criticism and orderly conduct, and so I wanted to recognize my behavior and just ask for your forgiveness in that, especially Dr. Emmons. It was important for me to say that to you. So
appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Yes. So with that, Mr. Mayor, my concerns really do remain the same. I saw that there was in the previous business, there was an annexation that took place, and it took place with a petition, a voluntary annexation. And I think that what differs in this situation is that because of how state statute has allowed the cities to have a mechanism to annex. I don't think that that specific mechanism really honors democratic process. And so that is outside of your authority. And so I recognize that. All I can say, just vouching for the people that live there, I still do not believe that they want to be in the city itself at this time. I don't think that they're even aware that by signing a contract with utilities to receive water, that they were signing a contract to be annexed when the time came along. The people really do enjoy being in a little pocket, and I think if we were to wait until the changes are made necessarily in the legislature to allow for a more democratic process in this, I think that would be much more fair. But I also totally recognize the necessity with fire emergencies, with crime that may cross between city and the county. Those are real problems, and the city's not wrong for trying to address that. But I fear that the democratic process and how properties are annexed into the city is my main concern. And so thank you for hearing that. And if you do have any questions or comments, I'm here for them.
Representative, I would just tell you, I appreciate your comments, and maybe having a little bit of a history lesson might help a little bit. So I pulled, or actually asked the Board of Public Utilities to pull an agreement, and the one that they sent me was from, let me get the address here, 3400 Greg Way. So it's one of the pocket addresses. It's dated the 26th of September, 1995. And so when we go back in history and we look, this was an area with very, very small lots. And the situation happened where the septic systems were polluting the wells, and they could no longer use these properties. So it wasn't the city who made a decision that they had to be changed. It was actually a federal and state laws that said, you can't have polluted water, or a septic system that's polluting the environment. And so the choices were they could either abandon their properties, or they could try to find a solution to their water and sewer septic system problems. They came to the city and the county and the state, and they collaborated together to try to figure out a solution so people didn't lose their properties. And so that was 30 years ago. And the agreement, which I have a copy of here, talks about providing water and sewer for these folks. But in Section 7, it clearly states that this user hereby consents to annexation of the above referenced property in the event that it qualifies for annexation, and if the city asks for that to happen. And for 30 years, the city has decided that it wasn't something we had to do right now. But because of some of these jurisdictional challenges that we're finding, the governing body has done that. And so, I think for the audience, it's important to understand that when we do a 201 agreement or we do an outside user agreement, we're trying to help for humanitarian reasons, and we stepped up and did that. But there was going to be a time in the future where they would have to come into the city. On a $400,000 house, the city of Cheyenne gets $304 a year in taxes off of that house. So there's no money for us to make in doing this. There's no economic incentive to do that. In fact, I would think most of those houses, we probably get $150 a year in taxes. And I would bet lunch to you that they probably save more money by going from 150% of the cost of the water and sewer to now be paying the same rate as we do. It probably saves them money being a homeowner in that area. And so I think it's important to recognize why we're in this position. And I found it interesting because when I looked at the county pocket that is that this particular property happens to be in, I counted 81 individual lots. There were 3 that didn't have any services at all. There were 3 that were still vacant, but 44 use city sanitation services, and all of the other ones, 74 of them, are on city water and sewer. So they're already using all of our services, but yet they're not in the city. And at this time, we're asking them to come into the city. And so it is a contract that was signed fully knowing that this day would come, and today the day is here. I don't know if that helps you understand how we got here.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for that history lesson. I'm a great fan of history. That is helpful. I recognize the problem that you're trying to solve. I would be remiss not to stand up and advocate for what I perceive as the will of the inhabitants. So I definitely understand where you're coming from, and it's not tyrannical in any sort of the sense. I don't think the city is out here trying to arbitrarily take people's money, but just from the private property rights standpoint, that is where my concern is coming from.
Understood. Just one last little piece. You know, when we first started this process, we looked at our ordinances and regulations. And in 2021, when we started, this annexation would have required them to pave their road, put curb gutter and sidewalk in, to hook up to city water and sewer and meet all city requirements. But we thought that, again, because we give water and sewer as a humanitarian thing, that just didn't seem very fair. So we spent a year fixing all of our ordinances to say that when we annex you, we don't ask you to do anything. You have to come to city sanitation, but that's kind of a wash. But as far as everything else goes, we don't ask you to do anything. Your street gets to be your street. Your sidewalk gets to be exactly as it is. Your non-conforming uses get to stay your non-conforming uses. So we've tried really, really hard to fix the jurisdictional problems without being hard on the neighborhood. So I hope you can appreciate how hard we've worked to try to make this as easy as we can.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate your hard work of yourself, the Public Commission or Public Service Committee, and the entire council. Thank you.
Dr. Rennie?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for the representative.
Please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Representative Singh, State Statute 15-1-406D, and I can give you the citation later if you want it, says no annexation under Wyoming Statute 15-1-404 shall create an area which is situated entirely within the boundaries of the city or town but is not annexed. So by the statutes of your body, we should never have created this pocket and should have annexed it a long time ago. So in some respects, by following through on this, it seems to me that we are just complying with state statute. So,
do you have anything else?
No, not at this point, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Singh, did you want to reply?
Oh, I'm not, Mr. Mayor, I'm not shocked at all that Dr. Rennie has done a very thorough examination of state statute.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Please, ma'am.
Through you. Yes, ma'am. To Mr. Singh, I want to say publicly that I am accepting your apology. Life's full of lots of learning and learning experiences, and I appreciate the fact that you've done that. I also want to acknowledge the fact that, I mean, it takes guts to stand up here and do this, and I appreciate that. And all three of us who are in Ward 3 as council people, if this were to pass, will be there to serve your parents and everybody else in that annexed area. Hopefully they will learn to enjoy it and appreciate it as much as we do. But I just want to make sure that you know that we're there to serve everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the governing body for the representative? Thanks for being here this evening. All right, anybody else on the public?
We're in public. Sorry.
Anybody else in the public on the annexation? All right, hearing none. Mr. Seagrave.
Mr. Mayor, the recommendation of the Public Services Committee is to approve on second reading, and I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Emmons. Comments from members of the governing body. Dr. Aldridge.
Mayor Collins, thank you. Through you. I just would like to note that over the last 4.5 years, every time we have done an annexation, I believe that we have as you so eloquently stated this evening, have really taken into consideration trying to make this as painless as possible for area residents who wanted to be annexed. However, I do believe that personal property rights are paramount, and each time we have had county pockets that we were wanting to annex, if there were no residents in that county pocket that we weren't able to mollify and be able to address their concerns, and they were still opposed to their annexation, I have been a no vote for annexation. I believe that in this situation, it is still in the city's best interest. It's in the best interest of our community. But there are people who are concerned and have expressed that, and I want to make sure that we do honor their wishes and their personal property rights. And so for that reason, this evening, I will be a no vote on this annexation.
Mr. Moody.
Hi. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that history lesson. That was very informative. I'll also be a no vote. Again, my biggest thing is if there's property owners that don't want to be annexed, I will vote no. I have voted aye on an annexation before as they asked to be annexed, so I'm looking at it from a private property rights perspective. If they want to be annexed, I'll vote aye, but if majority of people say no, then I'm not going to support it. Thank you.
Dr. Rainey.
Mr. Mayor, as you alluded to earlier, if you look at that area of the county at this point, almost everybody there has city sewer and water. There are only a few exceptions that do not. I was on council when that occurred. I thought it was earlier than 1995, but Mike Sullivan was governor at the time. And we had, you're correct with your description that the sewer, whether it be lagoons or septic, was contaminating the wells in the area, and we had a very significant health crisis. The city, county, and state put together a package that got water and sewer to that area as quickly as it possibly could. And as a side note, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to say I think I voted against it at that point because when you looked at the dollar figure that we were spending to put water and sewer into that area, my argument was it would have been less expensive to buy all those lots up and redevelop it than it would be to extend the infrastructure into it. And I still look back at that and I think that would have been a better move. However, those people were desperate and they needed help, and we came to the rescue. And the one price that we had was that you had to sign an outside user agreement. Now that bill has come due, and everybody and we were told by some people that spoke in the last couple weeks that it wasn't fair of us to do that. Yeah, there was probably a contract in place, but they shouldn't have been able. We shouldn't require them to honor that contract. I have to say, Mr. Mayor, if we hadn't come to the rescue 30, 35 years ago, those homes would have been unlivable. They would have had to abandon them, and that area would probably be pasture today. So I don't think it's unreasonable of us to say that the bill, it's time to pay the bill. That's come due. Last comment, Mr. Mayor, is if you look at a county pocket like this, they cannot leave their homes without driving on a city street. They cannot. There is one county park in the county, in Laramie County, that's way on the opposite end of the town. So if they are going to go to a park and enjoy a park with their family, it is in all likelihood a city park. They are using city facilities and city infrastructure daily. They are not living in a vacuum. They are not living in isolation. So my colleagues, I say to my colleagues that are voting no on this, how is that fair to your constituents who are paying for those city streets and those city parks through their property tax? And it is okay for this county pocket to have the use of those streets, parks, and amenities and not have to pay for them. So I don't know how you explain that to your constituents. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Seagrave.
Mr. Mayor, very briefly, as I recall, when we were sworn into office, we took an oath that we would operate in the best interests of the city. It's amazing to me tonight that I hear a colleague say that it's probably in the best interest of the city to do this, but they're still going to vote no. It seems to me that that's a direct violation of the oath that we all took. Thank you.
Dr. Emmons.
Mr. Mayor, through you to Mr. Brody, what property rights are being lost by the annexation?
You have to put your thinking cap on for that one.
Mr. Mayor, Dr. Emmons, you know, this provision in state law has been state law since 1965. So, you know, anyone who purchased property between 1965 and now in the area, you know, was subject to that law, and we expect people to understand the laws as they're on the books. Ignorance of the law is certainly not a defense. So I guess in that context, Dr. Emmons, no property rights are being taken.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the governing body? All right, we're on second.
Mr. Mayor, I have Councilman Escobar with his hand raised.
Mr. Escobar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, just wanted to throw my 2 cents in that based on the number of property holders in that area and the number of property owners that we've heard that don't want this annexation, it's about 66 for and 8 against, my rough math. And to me, if we're using the democratic process to vote on something, then we should vote for the majority. So I am a yes.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, I've been corrected. There are 2 county parks.
I know who that came from. All right. We're on second reading. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
And those opposed?
No.
And Mr. Moody, Dr. Aldrich are noes. The ordinance is approved on second reading.
Number 12, ordinance second reading, amending the official zoning map of the city of Cheyenne, establishing the zoning classifications of AG agriculture, MR medium density residential, MUR mixed use residential, and CB community business for land annexed to the city of Cheyenne, generally located north of Delrange Boulevard, east and west of Ridge Road, and south of Story Boulevard.
All right. State law says if we annex land, we have to give it a city zone. So the annexation we just did in the last item, those properties need a city zone, and we established those zones as the closest to the current county zone, and that's what's before us now. Anybody here in the audience would like to speak to that? Hearing none, Mr. Seagrave.
Mr. Mayor, the recommendation of the Public Services Committee is to approve on second reading, and I so move.
Seconded by Mr. White. Comments from members of the governing body on the zone? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed?
No.
Mr. Moody's a no. The ordinance is approved on second reading.
Number 13, ordinance first reading, annexing to the city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, a portion of land generally located South Greeley Highway and north of Chalk Bluff Road.
We'll assign this one to the Public Services Committee.
Number 14, ordinance first reading, amending the official zoning map of the city of Cheyenne to assign a zoning classification of AG agricultural to a parcel of land annexed to the city, generally located east of South Greeley Highway and north of Chalk Bluff Road.
We'll assign this one to the Public Services Committee.
Number 15, ordinance first reading, amending section 10.04.050, obedience required of the municipal code of the city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, to clarify the default offense level for violations of Title 10 of the municipal code.
This one will go to the Public Services Committee.
Number 16, ordinance first reading, amending section 6.08.180, feeding geese and ducks prohibited of chapter 6.08, animal care and control regulations generally of Title 6 animals of the municipal code of the city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, to include seagulls and extend the feeding prohibition to all property within city limits.
This one will also go to the Public Services Committee.
Next item is number 19, resolution authorizing the Cheyenne Board of Public Utilities to execute a grant agreement with the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security for Federal Emergency Management Agency Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities funding, and to authorize the director of the board to execute all related documents.
All right, we have before us a option for the Board of Public Utilities to get a grant to do a blending study to help maybe extend our water in case we have a drought. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak to that? Hearing none, Mr. Laybourne.
Mr. Mayor, recommendation of the...
Could you turn on your microphone, please, sir? Thank you.
Thank you. The recommendation of the Finance Committee is to...
There we go.
The recommendation of the Finance Committee is to adopt, and I so move.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Roybal. Comments from members of the governing body on the resolution? Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. While I understand the need for it, the reason why I was on Finance Committee again was just all the strings attached with the federal money. Again, as I said, I think the legislature needs to look into grants that we can use as municipalities throughout the state. And as I said in the Finance Committee, one of those included an executive order from 1970 by President Nixon. So I'm just worried there could be future bigger costs that might come about from this grant. So that's why I'm no vote. I understand we need it. If it was from the state, I would be an aye vote. Thank you.
Anyone else in the governing body? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Mr. Moody is a no. The resolution is adopted.
Next item is 22D on page 4. Contract between the City of Cheyenne and the Wyoming Game and Fish Commission by and through the Wyoming Game and Fish Department to allow public access for hunting without charge to the hunter management area located on the Belvoir Ranch.
All right, we'll go out to the audience. Is anybody here to talk about hunting on the Belvoir Ranch? Do you have someone in the audience?
Councilman, yep.
Yeah, we
This
have, we have Kelly Todd from the Wyoming Game and Fish.
Mr. Todd, welcome, sir.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my name's Kelly Todd with the Wyoming Game and Fish Department. I'm the southeast part of the state's regional access coordinator and game warden. I think Mayor Collins, I think Mr. Moody had some questions for me.
We'll ask him to ask those questions right now. We really appreciate you being here, Mr. Moody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Thank you, sir, for being here this late. Just a question about, for Deer Area 61, you're only allowing for archery and not rifle. Is there a reason why you don't allow rifle in this area, but you do allow for the pronghorns and the elk and small game?
From my understanding, yep, sorry about that. Mayor Collins, council members, Mr. Moody, it was kind of established before I took over this position, but from my understanding, the state section there off of Harriman, which is where a majority of the deer were kind of located, was archery only. And so that was kind of adopted into that process. But most of the hunting and everything else can be adjusted easily. I mean, a lot of it came from recommendations from the ranch manager of how many animals are there and what would work best for the city.
So, Mr. Todd, if I understand correctly, because the adjacent property is archery only, it just made sense to make this a continuation of that?
Yeah, Mayor Collins, council members, yes. But at this point in time, I looked at it today and I did not see the restriction on that state land. So I would have to go back through and get a hold of Office of State Lands and see if that restriction is still there or not.
Mr. Moody, do you want to follow up?
That's all I had. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else in the governing body for the Fish and Game representative? Mr. Laybourne, did you want to?
Well, I think you're going to ask me here.
I will in a second. Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Todd, thank you for being here. Anybody else in the audience want to speak to the hunting on the Belvoir Ranch? All right, hearing none. Mr. Laybourne.
Mr. Mayor, the recommendation of the Finance Committee is to approve in an amount not to exceed $40,655, and I so move.
Second.
And seconded by Mr. Moody. Comments from members of the governing body? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
No.
The contract is approved with Dr. Aldridge, no. Or Dr. Emmons.
I was a yes.
Dr. Emmons, no. I'm going to get it right one of these days. Next item, please.
Next item is number 22F on page 5. Memorandum of Understanding between the City of Cheyenne and the Cheyenne Downtown Development Authority for professional and administrative services for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026.
All right, we'll go out to the audience. Is anybody here that would like to speak to the MOU between the city and our Downtown Development Authority? Hearing none, Dr. Rennie.
Mr. Mayor, the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole is to approve, and I would so move.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. White. Dr. Rennie.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a couple amendments. And the first one is to remove in section 4AI, the Director of the Planning and Development Department in the first sentence and replace it with the DDA Board. And that was, amendment came out of Committee of the Whole last week also.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Seagrave. So we'll go out to the audience. So basically is hiring the administration of the DDA, instead of being hired by the city, would be hired by the Board of Directors. Anybody in the audience want to speak to that? How about from the governing body? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that passes. We're back on the main motion.
Mr. Mayor, the second amendment is a substitute that's dated today, and those of, I think, Councilman Escabel and Councilwoman Aldrich received email copies of it, and we should have copies of it. Essentially, in section 4AI, it removes the Director of Planning and Development in the first sentence and replaces with nope, that was if we were combining them. It identifies, it changes the reference to DDA Administrator as the DDA Executive Director, which they've been referred to over the years as the Executive Director. It strikes the language, no city personnel or DDA staff shall be considered the board's executive director under Wyoming Statute 159207, and clearly identifies who the director shall notify of violations of rules, if there are violations of rules and regulations of the city. So I would make that motion.
Second.
All right, it's been seconded by Mr. Roybal. Can you walk us through that one more time?
Essentially, Mayor, it changes the reference, instead of referring to the DDA as the DDA Administrator, it will be the DDA Executive Director. That is a title that individual has held going back to 1990 at various times. And when it was on its own, it was an executive director. It also says there's somewhere in there where we're changing the language that if there are violations of the city rules and regulations, the director shall, it says, notify the DDA president, and I think, or the DDA board president or president of the city council, and this says that it has to they have to notify both individuals. And I think those are primarily the changes, and I see that perhaps Administrator, we hope soon to be Director Mays, is going to bail me out on this one.
Sophia, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, Sophia Mays, DDA Administrator. The language, I believe that would be stricken from Section 4AI would be no city personnel or DDA staff shall be considered the board's executive director under Wyoming Statute 159207. It's just striking that because stating that the administrator will be executive director makes that void.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody in the audience want to speak to this amendment before us? Anyone in the audience? How about from the governing body? Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. Just a question to the bringer of the amendment. Is this just allowing for a little more oversight? Thank you.
Dr. Rennie.
Mr. Mayor, no, I don't think it is allowing for more oversight. I think we, with the MOU and with having the board hire the administrator, director, it's actually less city oversight, which I think at this point is probably desirable. And so generally, it's changing a couple things in primarily how instead of an administrator, we have an executive director.
Thank you for the clarification.
Anybody else from the governing body? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Okay, that sub is also approved, and we're back on the main motion. Anybody else? On the governing body?
Mr. Mayor.
Dr. Rainey.
This is somewhat of a hybrid. I want to, I know there's been some discussion that the DDA should not be under the city. As long as we're doing history lessons, I want to perhaps discuss one. When I first was elected to city council in 1988, I took office in 1989. And shortly after I took office, the DDA board resigned en masse. And I wasn't around long enough to really understand what their frustrations were. But they essentially said the DDA is not working, and we want to make a statement, so we quit. So we went for a while without a DDA, and then I went and I approached our planning director at the time, named Tom Bonds, and said, Tom, we need to have a DDA, and he and I kind of rewrote the rules and reorganized it, and reformed and reconstituted it and reformed it and had a DDA. Back then, it was a 5-member board, and I served on that board for 5 or 6 years. I then took a decade off from council and came back in 2007, and again served about another 5 years on the DDA board. And at that point, it was outside the city. And my experience was that it functioned much better within the city than it did outside of it. As an independent body, I think it struggled all the time to achieve any kind of mission. So I'm glad, to be honest, that it's back within the city. This is, as I said earlier, a bit of a hybrid. It does not have quite the city control that original 1990 DDA had, yet it still has the support of the city, which at times I think is necessary. I also want to add that I'm excited about our new DDA executive director. I think she's only been in office 3 months. The second part of the history lesson is, in the last 2 years, we had a director that was there for less than 9 months. We had an interim without a director. Then we had a director that was there for less than 7 months. And then it took 3 months before we found our current executive director. And she has only been in place for 3 months. So as we discussed at the committee of whole, there has been some instability there. And there's, rightly or wrongly, we've experienced some of that. I'm excited about the fact that we have a director, and I think that we need to give her our support and give her a chance to make a success of the position. So I would urge you all to vote for the MOU.
And Mr. Laybourne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a really good meeting earlier today that discussed those amendments. And as you probably noted, I supported those amendments. They were steps in the right direction and something that I believe is meaningful. I don't think that when we look at this whole matter, it's not just the director, it's not just the city, it's the board and the mill levy payment that the individual property owners make. So there's a lot of interests here that have to be satisfied, and I hope they eventually can be. I think my general understanding of this situation is that this MOU that is before the body tonight, as amended, is of the intention to stabilize and hopefully deal with what our history lesson just told us, that that instability in the DDA has serious consequences. So I want to make it clear that I believe there are good things in this memorandum, and I certainly appreciate the time we spent today working through some of them. I also want to apologize tonight. I was incorrect in a couple of statements that I made in the Committee of the Whole. It was not 3 years ago that this was adopted, it was 2. So I was incorrect in that and certainly apologize for that. However, I would say that when we look at this, we need to understand a few meetings ago, we approved the budget of the DDA, and how that budget is exercised, I think, is of supreme importance. And I think we're going to be looking for some answers here soon, and I expect they'll be very interesting as to the city, the governing body's authority over that board and its expenditures. So although I do appreciate the effort and the improvement that's occurred here, I'm going to be a no tonight on this memorandum of understanding because it is a work in progress, and it is about stabilizing an agency that has been pointed out here earlier tonight, has been around and in operation for many, many years. And in those many, many years, good things have been accomplished, but the consistency and the ability of that board to manage that department, well, agency, is pretty well known to be in question. And I want to tell the members of the governing body and the public that we will be discussing the $60,000 item that is on the DDA Facebook page right now for a contract to promote marketing and communication. And I think that that's very much an issue that we'll be dealing with, because as we proceed here again with this modified memorandum of understanding, which is the intent is to stabilize something that needs to be stabilized, that's a very significant question. So I look forward to that, and this certainly has some good points. Over the years, the DDA has done some good things, but that instability and that kind of financial management has brought us to this point. So I look forward to seeing what we can do to make sure that that stabilization occurs and that it is properly managed. Thank you.
Anyone else in the governing body? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the MOU as amended, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
Mr. Laybourne is a no. The MOU is approved as amended.
Next item is number 24A on page 6. Consideration to purchase between the City of Cheyenne and Urban SDK for the purchase of a 3-year software subscription for geospatial vehicle traffic and infrastructure analytics platform.
All right. This is a, well, maybe we'll just let the lieutenant describe what it is. Mr. Hickerson, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor.
Could you bring that microphone up just a little bit? There you go.
Is that better, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mayor, members of council, I'm Joel Hickerson with the Cheyenne Police Department. What you have before you is a 3-year subscription-based purchase agreement between the City of Cheyenne and Urban SDK. Urban SDK is a web-based vehicle traffic speed and volume data tracking platform that uses GPS, public transit information, mapping metadata, and state-provided crash data to create an interactive mapping and data interface which aids in identifying areas that experience higher than normal speeds and congestion on city streets. It also provides a matrix which shows areas where crashes are most likely to occur within our city. If this subscription purchase is approved, Urban SDK would provide historical vehicle traffic data going back to June of 2024, in a mapping interface, comparison graphs, and tables. Additionally, Urban SDK would provide updated information accurate to within the hour, enabling the Cheyenne Police Department to be guided by information in both wide scope and granular natures. The information provided by Urban SDK would enable the Cheyenne Police Department to more effectively and efficiently determine where traffic enforcement resources should be focused, as well as aid in meeting crash reduction and excessive speed enforcement goals. The agreement would include all of the current geographical area of the city of Cheyenne, as well as the current MPO boundary, which provides flexibility as Cheyenne's population and jurisdictional boundaries expand over time. Thank you for your time. I'm available for any questions.
Is there anybody here who want to ask the Lieutenant any questions? Mr. Seagrave.
Mr. Mayor, through you, I think I heard it, but I want to verify. This also tracks speed, is that correct?
Lieutenant?
Yes, sir, that's accurate. So most vehicles now, and more over time as we go into the future, have integrated mapping within their vehicles, or people on their smartphones have active mapping. This takes advantage of that metadata to accurately reflect what the speeds are within a given region of the city. I did a demo earlier, and it showed that it was accurate within 100 feet. So in a particular city block, you could see if there was speeding block to block. A particular area within the demo that was identified was the area just north of East High on Windmill Road, because there's that downhill slope, and it showed specifically that after school is when they're having that good time.
Mr. Seagrave.
I love this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Dr. Aldridge.
Thank you, Mayor Collins. I do have some questions that were sent to me by a constituent that I would like to ask Lieutenant Hickerson.
Please do.
And, thank you. The first one is, the first question that they had was after doing a deeper dive into the urban, this application or this product, they were wondering if we currently have traffic sensors, and if so, how many, and where are they located, and do we have enough of them to make this system usable?
Do we need traffic sensors to make this system useful?
Mr. Mayor, through you, this is all web-based, and it's all based on information that is shared to Urban SDK. Anecdotally, yes, we do in some form have traffic sensors in our traffic trailers. They are a hardware-based device that rely on human integration. Whenever we need those, we take those to the selected location. The most recent one was on Central Avenue between Pershing and 8th Avenue. That was the enforcement zone that was considered. We had to physically put those speed trailers out there, wait for that study to come back. This would make that plausibly possible throughout the city without having to integrate that hardware.
Dr. Aldridge.
Okay. Lieutenant, Mayor Collins, for you, how does the GPS system send the data? Is it basically like through a Bluetooth link?
Lieutenant, I think she's asking, how do they get it?
Mr. Mayor, through you to Councilwoman Aldridge. Dr. Aldridge, this is a situation where it's much like the integrated mapping apps you already have on your smartphone. When you are sharing that information through Apple or through Samsung or Google or Waze, what ends up happening is those companies integrate and extrapolate that information to show where congestion points are, to show where crashes are, things of that nature. Urban SDK takes that same metadata and applies it within an interactive map that City of Cheyenne users can take advantage of to more specifically identify where those issues are occurring over time. So it's directly fed through your cell phone or through a Wi-Fi signal.
Dr. Aldridge?
And the last question that my constituent said to me to ask this evening was really more of a concern that without enough traffic sensors, that the service won't deliver the needed information. And so without that information, it would seem like probably not as powerful or useful as it could be with really the word, artificial intelligence or AI thrown in. They're wondering if there's any possibility of having this on a 30-day free demonstration period where we might try it before we end up buying it.
Lieutenant?
Mayor Collins, through you to Dr. Aldridge. So just to clarify, this is not based on hardware-mounted traffic sensors through the city. This is based on the GPS mapping softwares that are already integrated in vehicles or people's smartphones. It also takes advantage of state-based crash data that is integrated in an overlay with that data. So there are no physical devices that the city of Cheyenne is requesting to be integrated within our traffic lights or within our poles or anything of that nature. This is all based on smart applications that are integrated in vehicles and phones.
Did that answer your questions, Dr. Aldridge?
Yes, Mayor Collins, my last question is it possible to have a 30-day demonstration period of this product before we contract for the purchase?
Lieutenant, have you already done that?
Mayor Collins, through you to Dr. Aldridge, we did undergo 2 demos. The results of those demos were viewed by a few of our council members. I encourage them to provide feedback if they would like.
Mr. Moody?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. I would say that it's pretty good, pretty accurate in terms of where the accidents were. That's all I have to say. I don't know if my colleagues from Ward 1 have more to add to it.
Mr. White, were you part of that?
I was, Mr. Mayor, and through you, Councilman Laybourne, myself, and Councilman Moody have kind of really been working collaboratively with the police to bring. When we met with them a couple of months ago, they brought us this idea of this data tool, and we were very supportive of it. And having since seen how it actually works, I'm with you, Mr. Seagrave. It's pretty cool, and I think it's going to be very effective in helping all of us address complaints from our constituents regarding speed and safety throughout our community.
Mr. Laybourne, did you want to comment?
I think once it's on the floor.
Okay. Ms. Evans? Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, through you, so can it track me? Will it be able to say Kathy was speeding today?
Only her, though, right?
Mr. Mayor, through you to Dr. Emmons. No, this is metadata based. It is broadcast data that it's not specific to identity or personally identifiable information. It is just the generic information that is provided to the application source points.
Mr. Roybal.
Mr. Mayor, through you, if we add 5,000, can we get her caught?
I can talk to our sales rep.
All right. Thank you, Lieutenant. Anybody else in the audience want to speak to this new technology for tracking speeding and congestion? All right, hearing none. Mr. Laybourne, the motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, the recommendation of the Finance Committee is to approve an amount not to exceed $105,367.50, and I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. White. Mr. Laybourne, you want to comment?
Yes, this is certainly something that I know the department can use because it's right there. And it certainly is of interest to me that it can be developed that way instead of officers getting together and saying, well, that corner's rough. And certainly when we look at what our committee has done in terms of the council goals here, it's not only this issue, it is the Safe Streets for All, which is a really much broader, although I assume there'll be points of integration, to look at how we would actually slow traffic down and be able to do some of the things that I think we need to do in terms of changing some of those speed limits in our system of regulation. And I also would point out that $100,000 that we put towards that overtime is very useful. So these are a series of steps that we've taken with the department so that we are really answering the call, and I hope that we can do that. With summer coming, it's just really kind of a free-for-all out there sometimes, and we want the department to have the tools it needs. We want our planning to be able to look at the long term, and so I think this is a very worthwhile, and that's why I called it off the consent agenda. Thank you.
And just for the edification of the City Council, the Critical Traffic Safety Committee met today and designated Central Avenue from 8th Avenue to Pershing. That traffic enforcement will start next Monday and go for 30 days. So an ongoing effort to control speeds. Other comments from members of the governing body? Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. And I echo definitely my colleague from Ward 1. This is a problem across the country with vehicle accidents, people not driving safe, and people speeding way excessively. So I'll definitely be an aye vote. It's part of one of our city goals. I hope the governing body passes this because we are having major issues with that. And also, too, especially at the evening hours and nighttime hours. And we know it gets worse here in the summertime, especially during frontier days. So this is a safety measure that we can all agree upon because, like I said, it's not just a problem here, it's nationwide. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Other comments from members of the governing body? All right, hearing none, we have a consideration to purchase. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? The purchase is approved.
Next item is 26A on page 7. Voucher report.
All right, is there anybody in the audience or on the governing body that would like to speak to the vouchers? All right, hearing none, next item, please.
Announcement of a public hearing to be held June 23rd, 2025 at 6:00 p.m. in City Council Chambers, 2101 O'Neill Avenue, Cheyenne, Wyoming, and via electronic conference meeting for the 2025 through 2027 City of Cheyenne Comprehensive Consolidated Plan and the 2025 Annual Action Plan as prepared by Cheyenne Housing and Community Development. Other business.
All right, I've asked the city clerk to read one more item into the agenda to be assigned to, I believe, the Finance Committee. The Board of Public Utilities in the South Cheyenne Water and Sewer District in the City of Cheyenne have agreed to a new master agreement, and we need to get that approved because we need to get a sewer line put in before they pave High Plains Road. I'd hate for them Leeds to pave High Plains Road, and then a week later we tear it up and put a sewer line in there. So we're going to put it on the agenda tonight and refer it so we can get it quickly through our process so that we can get the agreement for the outside sewer agreement, and we'll be able to put the sewer in before the water, before the road is paved. So, Madam Clerk, if you'd read that into the...
Combined water and wastewater agreement between the City of Cheyenne, Cheyenne Board of Public Utilities, and South Cheyenne Water and Sewer District.
We'll assign that one to the Finance Committee. At this time, we'll ask, is there anybody here in the audience that would like to speak under other business? Please come forward, sir. Welcome. Do me a favor and introduce yourself.
Mr. Mayor, council members, ladies and gentlemen, howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Roger Barnes, and I'm the Chief Marshal of the Cheyenne Gunslingers. And I'm excited that we're having history lessons here today because I enjoy history very much. And I'd like to introduce my own little tidbit of trivia, if I may. In August of 1982, several Cheyenne businessmen got together for the sole purpose of creating a way to keep people downtown during frontier days, especially after morning parades and pancake breakfasts. Their solution was to organize a group of volunteers to perform melodrama-style Old West gunfights on the streets of the city. A gunfight at noon would delay the migration of tourists to the fairgrounds after the morning festivities, and a gunfight at 6 o'clock would bring them back to eat dinner. They called this performance group the Cheyenne Gunslingers. It didn't take long for the gunslingers to realize that Delrange Boulevard was also draining customers from the downtown area, so they began performing throughout the months of June and July. At first, they performed on the pavement, which made them prone to injury. In the late 80s, a grassy area was created south of Lincoln Way where Cary Avenue used to connect it to the 15th Street. It was just north of the alley and was a perfect place to perform. So perfect that Mayor Pando decreed that the spot be known as the permanent home of the Cheyenne Gunslingers, at least for the next 99 years. Along came 2006, and Mayor Spiker who was insistent that Cary Avenue south of Lincoln Way be restored to a street connecting Lincoln Way to 15th Street. The gunslingers fought the only way a volunteer group can in a situation like that, by attending city council meetings and gaining public support. They eventually lost, but were able to secure a new performance site on 15th Street with the aid of Bob Bradshaw. It was a half a block further south and a block further west than the previous location, which was a concern. They would no longer have the benefit of random foot traffic, and they were further from the downtown area. The foot traffic problem was helped somewhat by the parking lot to the west, but they weren't getting the crowds that they were used to, which may have affected their impact on downtown businesses in a negative way. Eventually, the crowds began to grow, but the demographic had changed. It no longer consisted of adults out having a good time, but elementary and secondary school children with their parents in tow. This not only changed the color of the scripts they wrote and performed, but the focus of their mission. Children became the reason behind their philanthropic efforts, with annual donations being made to local charities such as Empty Stocking Fund, Friday Food Bag, Boys and Girls Club, and the Unaccompanied Student Initiative, just to name a few. As the crowds improve, so does the gunslingers' effect on downtown businesses. Now the gunslingers have a new adversary, the 15th Street Rail Project. It seems to be the opinion of the Cheyenne City government that a static display of two railroad cars are a more effective tourist draw than they are. The city's compromise is to move the gunslingers' performance area, affectionately referred to as Gunslinger Square, further down 15th Street, while the two passenger cars take their spot. The main effect of moving Gunslinger Square further from the downtown area should be evident: less foot traffic downtown. If the Gunslingers' goal was simply to attract tourists to see their shows, it wouldn't matter where they were performing. But that's not the Gunslingers' goal. Their goal is to improve foot traffic in downtown Cheyenne for the benefit of local merchants. Consequently, I employ the mayor and the city council to leave Gunslinger Square alone and to continue supporting the Gunslingers in their efforts to represent Cheyenne in a positive way, attract tourists and locals to the downtown area, and to support local businesses. Thank you.
Roger, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience want to speak? I don't know if you get to speak twice in one meeting.
Well, I'm coming to.
Welcome back.
Katie Brady, former business owner downtown. So I didn't know about the Gunslingers being moved, and I owned the cookie shop. I can tell you every time they performed, we had a big increase in business. As soon as we heard those guns, we put those cookies in the oven because families would come around. So there's very little that we could direct the tourists to. Families that came to visit were a former military family. Whenever anybody came into town, that's what we went to go see. So I also would like to say thank you to the Gunslingers and all that they do bring to downtown. So I hope you consider that move very carefully. Thank you.
Katie, thank you. Anybody else in the audience want to speak under other business? All right, how about from the governing body? Dr. Aldrich.
Mayor Collins, thank you. I did want to just remind everyone that we will be having council and coffee for June on Saturday, June 21st from 9 to 11 at the Dasbog Coffee Shop located off of College and Pershing. I also wanted to express my thanks to Lieutenant Scott Gulbranson and Fire Academy instructor John Bates, who were gracious enough to invite me out to the training center on Thursday to meet their 10 new Academy recruits that are getting ready to finish up their training and will be graduating and returning to their communities and to our local fire department to be employed as firefighters across the state of Wyoming. Really an impressive facility, and if council members have not had an opportunity to go out and see that, I would encourage them to do that. Lieutenant Gulbranson did want to express an invitation to the Wyoming State Firefighter Academy graduation, which will be held on June 19th, which I believe is a Thursday at 1:30 p.m. at the YDOT Auditorium at the main building at 5300 Bishop Boulevard in Cheyenne. So just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that they're invited, and really appreciated Lieutenant Gulbranson and Fire Instructor Bates having me out and introducing me to their academy students. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. White?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Just wanted to thank Jason and his staff for a wonderful first Fridays on the Plaza. Even though the weather wasn't very cooperative, there were still almost 4,000 people downtown, and my understanding is 0 incidents. Great. And the Spiker Garage, to my colleagues and to you all out here, the Spiker Garage was completely packed to the rooftop that night. And so I think we're all very happy to hear that. And then from Fridays on the Plaza, we got to, Jason and his staff helped prepare the Lions Park for the 20th anniversary of the Celtic Festival, which was phenomenal. And Mayor, thank you for providing some remarks. But I think the person who had the most fun at that event was Governor Gordon, who was decked out in his family crest Scottish kilt and told some very funny stories about his father taking him to Scotland to meet relatives, and he represented the Gordon clan quite well that day.
He did.
And then also just to remind folks that this weekend is the Wyoming Brewers Festival, with all proceeds going to the Cheyenne Depot Museum.
And it's also Father's Day, don't forget that.
All the fathers. My
Mr.
daughter will
Moody.
be on her honeymoon, so I don't get a free lunch this year.
But that's how grandkids come, sir. It's worth it. Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was for our free dump day for Ward 3 and Ward 1. I was at the sanitation transfer station right there off North College. I wanted to say really good job to the staff there, everybody. I mean, very professional, very friendly to people who took advantage of it. And I was there not only on Friday, but also on Saturday from 7 a.m. till 10:30. So I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed seeing how the sanitation transfer station operates. And I definitely look forward to seeing more departments and divisions here within the city. Thank you.
Dr. Emmons.
Mr. Mayor, through you, I have a point of order.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe that item 22D was not read correctly. When the motion was made, I could have heard it wrong, but I thought I heard Councilman say something about a dollar amount.
Yeah, it's a 5-year contract for $40,655.
Okay, thank you. So
Mayor?
I must have an old copy of the agenda. Okay,
Mayor, if I may, that is revenue to the city.
Right.
okay, thank you. So I withdraw that. I just wanted to clarify that.
No problem. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. Anybody else from the governing body? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you. Hey, work on your elbow so you're